What is happening right now in eastern Ukraine, where Russian tanks are rolling in, must be a concern for everyone.
The world is watching for Russia's next move and a possible full-scale invasion. Ukraine declares a state of emergency and is preparing for the worst. We're taking a look at the impact the conflict could have here in the U.S.
It's another day of bitterly cold temperatures. Snow is falling on the plains, but I'll let you know when we'll see more in the metro.
Plus, the Broncos are looking to the future. The new coaching staff hopes to bring a fresh start and a championship to the Mile High City.
We want to win a championship. We have the talent.
The situation in Ukraine is growing more serious by the hour. Ukraine declared a state of emergency for 30 days in preparation for a potential full-scale Russian invasion. Thanks so much for joining us for Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Jason Grenauer. Here's a look at the other developments this morning. Russia started evacuating diplomatic personnel out of Ukraine, and Ukraine is urging its citizens to leave Russia. The Ukrainian government has called up 36,000 reservists. It's partially because Ukraine's military is concerned things could sharply deteriorate over the course of the next 2 days. Now, there's fears Russia could launch a major attack that would go beyond eastern Ukraine and target Kiev. This map shows where Russian troops are stationed near Ukraine and in the eastern part of the country. Zoreen Shaw reports on the preparations for a potential war.
Ukraine and Russia moving ever closer to a potential conflict. Ukraine now declaring a state of emergency, which will be confirmed by parliament. It places heightened security measures and curfews in parts of the country currently under government control. Reservists with fighting experience are also mobilizing. Ukraine's President Zelensky meeting with Polish and Lithuanian leaders to discuss next steps. This as new satellite images from Mazar show additional Russian troop movement and supplies in Belarus, close to the Ukrainian border. Putin's move to recognize two separatist-controlled regions of eastern Ukraine as independent and sending in so-called peacekeeping troops, drawing swift and strong reaction from the U.S. and allies. President Biden flatly calling it the beginning of an invasion.
Who in the Lord's name does Putin think gives him the right to declare new so-called countries on territory that belong to his neighbors?
The U.S. imposing major sanctions on the country's financial institutions and business elites, with threats of deeper sanctions if Russia continues. The United Nations meeting this morning to discuss the situation.
We need to use this last chance for action.
Now many Ukrainian citizens are ready to face a potential war. Our Martha Raditz is in the region.
This is one of the main border crossings in and out of Poland. Right now, they serve about 3,000 vehicles every day. If there is a refugee crisis, there could be millions.
All of this despite President Biden saying diplomacy was still an option.
And Russia has made clear its wholesale rejection of diplomacy. It does not make sense to go forward with that meeting at this time.
Right now, 800 troops from Germany are being rerouted to the area to support NATO allies. Zoreen Shaw, ABC News, Washington.
Now, we spoke with Christoph Stiefus, who teaches Russian politics at CU Denver. He told us what would happen in Ukraine if there is a full-scale invasion.
I think the Ukrainians will suffer, of course, and at least a few thousand people that definitely have to leave Ukraine because they are on some lists of the Russian government. I mean, the entire Ukrainian government will probably evacuate within hours once the Russians really start this invasion. I mean, the full-fledged invasion. So it's hard to say, but so far, the Ukrainians are pretty tough.
President Biden is warning gas prices will go up because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The White House says the new sanctions were put in place to impact Russia's economy, not ours. But the sanctions could still lead to the Kremlin withholding oil from the world market. Russia trails only the U.S. and Saudi Arabia in oil production. And we're already feeling that impact. Oil hit $100 per barrel yesterday. That's the highest price in 7 years. In Colorado, our average price is about $3.35 a gallon, up slightly from a month ago. And this is a live look at the stock market. Oil prices did drop slightly today, and global stocks rebounded a little from concerns over those sanctions against Russia. Right now, the Dow is down about 80 points. And of course, we will continue to follow the latest between the U.S. and Russia and Ukraine on air on our website, thedenverchannel.com, and on Denver 7 Plus. We woke up to another frigid day, and we're already talking about the records we broke when it comes to the cold. We have two views here of Denver. On the left, there's Lookout Mountain. You can see all the clouds of snow there on the ground, but on the right, there's the Mile High City and sunshine. So changes are coming our way. Meteorologist Stacey Donaldson joins us now. We're talking about changes when it comes to snowfall, not necessarily temperature, Stacey.
That's right. I mean, we're in the deep freeze here for another couple of days, and then we'll come out of it. But as for snowfall in the last 24 hours, we've had about two sections of this storm already pass through. We have one more tonight. We've had 17 inches of snow up toward Wolf Creek Pass. Over the entire storm, we've had about 25 inches there, 12 in Ouray, 11 in Telluride, and about 1.6 at DIA, 1.1 in Arvada, and we're expecting more tonight. Those cold temperatures, though, boy, single digits here all around the metro, up into the foothills and the high country as well. You factor in the wind, feels like 16 below for Fort Morgan, 19 below for Akron, and 10 below for Broomfield, and we're talking about 15 to 20 below here all across the eastern plains. It's actually warmer in the high country than it is here for the metro area. Snow continuing to come down across the eastern plains and up in the higher elevations. We'll see this snow move our direction as we go into tonight, and it comes this way. So we have winter storm warnings in effect here south of Denver around Colorado Springs until 8 a.m. tomorrow, and about the same all the way across the western half of our state. So we'll talk more about how much snow we expect in just a few minutes.
Stacey, thank you. You can get the forecast anytime you want on our streaming service, Denver 7 Plus. We have a 24/7 weather live stream to keep you up to date on conditions anytime. You can find it on your Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, or Android device. Deadly doses of fentanyl are fueling tragedy in Colorado. The most recent happened over the weekend when 5 people were found dead in a Commerce City apartment. Officials say they took cocaine laced with fentanyl. Now we're hearing from an Arapahoe County sheriff's deputy who's seen the effects of the opioid epidemic firsthand. Deputy Chris Calderon responded to 8 overdose calls last year. In 6 of those calls, he used Narcan to revive the people involved. Take a look at this video from December. It shows Calderon responding to a 911 call where a woman had taken a, quote, blue pill and was found unresponsive. Eventually in this video, you see him put on gloves and protective gear. Deputy Calderon administered Narcan within 5 minutes of arriving on scene, eventually bringing the woman back to consciousness. It's a tough job, but Deputy Calderon says he's glad he can help, especially when it means saving a life.
Because everyone who is either using drugs because that's what they choose to do because they're addicted to it, or it's an accidental. Everyone has families, and I would hate to have one of my family members be in a position where they overdose to a drug where they're just having fun, and now we lost that person when somebody could have done something about it. So at least I'm happy to know that maybe some of the people that I helped with Narcan are still with us, and they still have a chance of spending more time with their families.
Now, the DEA Denver division says in 2019, the department seized 81,000 pills containing fentanyl. In 2021, that number skyrocketed to 1.1 million. And remember, anyone who lives in Denver can order fentanyl testing strips and Narcan for free. The city will ship it to your home. If you don't live in Denver, you can typically get it at a pharmacy without a prescription. Superior is hosting 2 community meetings today for people who have questions about rebuilding after the Marshall Fire. The city introduced a consulting firm to speed up that rebuilding process last night. People said that they were worried it was taking too long and could cause people to leave town. Tonight's virtual meetings are virtual. They start at 5:30 and 7 for the Sagamore and Rock Creek neighborhoods. A UN report says many governments aren't prepared to address wildfires. Researchers say the likelihood of catastrophic wildfires globally could increase by more than 50% by the turn of the century. They say it's because of warming temperatures and land use changes. The report says the western U.S., along with parts of Siberia, India, and Australia, are already seeing more fires. The new Broncos coaches were introduced to the media in person yesterday, and we got a chance to chat with the new coordinators out at Dove Valley. The Broncos' new special teams coordinator is Dwayne Stukes. Ejiro Evero is the new defensive coordinator, and the offensive coordinator is Justin Outen. Stukes and Evero are Super Bowl champions. They won a ring less than 2 weeks ago with the LA Rams. They say they're ready to bring that championship experience to the Broncos.
At the end of the day, we're here to win a championship.
and that's the goal. We're going to fight to get that done, and we're not going to settle for anything less. And my part, along with all the defensive coaches, is to bring a championship-level defense, and we're going to strive every day and every moment to get that done. We want to win a championship. We have the talent to do so. We have the coaches to do so. We have the leadership to do so. Now, we can't just talk about it. We got to put it in practice, right? We got to do it.
And here's some important dates for Broncos fans to remember. The Scouting Combine starts next Monday. Free agency starts 3 weeks from today. And on April 4th, teams with new coaches can start their offseason workout programs. What's a big game in Fort Collins tonight for the Bronze Boot? The CSU men's basketball team hosts Wyoming in the Border War. Just love that name for this rivalry. Both teams are near the top of the Mountain West standings as of right now. Wyoming won the first meeting in Laramie about a month ago. Tip-off is at 7 from a sold-out Moby Arena. Denver 7 Sports will be at the game. We'll have a live report tonight on Denver 7 News at 5. Trucker convoys are coming to Washington, D.C. Still ahead, the steps the Pentagon is taking to prepare for disruptions and protests. Plus, a group is helping African Americans rediscover their history by finding their family roots.